I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to the August 20th, 2018 Wilson County Commission meeting, as we call it to order. This time I'll introduce Commissioner Wendell Marlowe for the prayer and the pledge.
Shall we pray?
Please rise.
Our Heavenly Father, we want to thank you first for allowing us to have this opportunity to be together and to be involved in such an important activity. I feel like we need to pray for those individuals who are not with us this evening because of sickness. But I also want to pray for our first responders that we have in Wilson County, and pray for that after each and every shift, each one of these men and women are able to return home. Also want to pray for the men and women of our armed forces, and when they reach the end of their term, that they get to come home to their families as safe as possible. I also want to pray for all of our elected officials across the nation, and want to pray for that your guidance will influence their decision making. I pray tonight that this body will be conscious of the need of the entire county as we go about our business tonight. Thank you again for allowing us this opportunity. In that name we pray, amen. This time, Officer Tomlin is going to lead our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Marlowe. You will press yes on your panel to record your presence at tonight's meeting. Commissioner Stafford, please record. 24 present and 1 absent. Report from the steering committee, Commissioner Seaver.
Commissioners, the steering committee met this evening at 5:45. The minutes will be in your packet in next month's packet. However, the minutes of the July meeting were in our packet. I move that the report be received and filed.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Adoption of the agenda, Ms. Seaver.
I want to make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? And there's no consent agenda. No special recognition at this time, as far as I know. Seeing no report from the Minutes Committee, Commissioner Bernard.
Mayor, the Minutes Committee met tonight at 5:30 in the Commission Room. They'll be in your packet next month, and you got a set of July minutes last month. I moved they would be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? Reading of the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? This time I would just like to take an opportunity and a brief word of in public to our outgoing commissioners, that we say thank you for the work that you've done. We applaud you for your progressive leadership and the many accomplishments that's occurred during your tenure here. Most of all, I compliment you for your ability to work together when you disagree and come together for the betterment of the citizens of this county. What I'd like to do before we leave is that when I call your name, I'd love for you to stand so we could recognize you and thank you individually. And I would hope the audience would allow me this opportunity and join in with us. District 1 Commissioner, Ms. Becky Seaver. District 2 Commissioner, Mr. Adam Bannock. District 8 Commissioner, Mr. Frank Bush. District 14 Commissioner, Mr. Jeff Jones. District 15 Commissioner, Mr. Mike Justice. District 18 Commissioner, Mr. Terry Muncher. This is the last meeting for Miss Cindy Brown, which has been under the weather for quite some time, and we remember her and hope that she will have a recovery soon. And District 25 Commissioner, Mr. Jim Emberton. I do applaud you for your work and your service to the citizens of this county. Mr. Goodall, the notary list, is it complete? I hear a motion to approve the notary list. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. And opposed? This time, we will turn the floor over to Commissioner Gary Keith, as it's time for us to elect 3 judicial commissioners. Commissioner Keith.
Yes, they're all 3 four-year positions. Mr. Randy Hankins, Mr., I'm sorry, I wrote it down, he called on me too quick and I couldn't find it.
Sorry,
Give me just 1 second here, please.
sir.
David Hale. What is the third one's name? Somebody else? Grant Gardner, I'm sorry, apologize to Grant. Mr. Grant Gardner.
We got Mr. Randy Hankins, Mr. David Hale, Mr. Grant Gardner.
Yes, sir.
These are the 3 that you'd like to recommend to fill the seats of judicial commissioners.
That was recommended by the Judicial Committee.
Was that a motion to approve?
Yes.
I've got a second. Now, do I have any discussion? Seeing none, all you ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? Let the record reflect it was unanimous. Thank you, Commissioner Keith. Under elections and appointments, as you know, the election results of the August 3rd election resulted in a tie for District 6. According to TCA 2-8-111, if there is a tie vote, the County Commission may cast a deciding vote, or, as an alternative, by resolution can call for a runoff election between the tied candidates to take place during the November 6th general election. Mayor Jennings, I would ask for you, just if you would, please remind everybody about any particulars they would need before we open the floor for comments or discussion about this issue.
The mayor has correctly read from TCA 2-8-111. You do have 2 options on the how you fill the seat. I guess the first vote you would want to take is how you want to fill the seat when the time comes, although I'll leave that to the chair. I will say to you that the incumbent commissioner can vote, so I want everybody to understand that. The Attorney General gave an opinion, State Attorney General, in 2006 that an incumbent commissioner can vote. Mr. Charles Curtis, the Executive Director of the Tennessee County Services Association, was here at our Cable TV Committee meeting a couple of weeks ago and confirmed that. So I wanted everybody to know that. I don't know of anything else, Mayor, in particular that I need to comment on, but if you have questions, I'll be glad to do my best to try to answer them.
So this is what the state has decided that you, as a body, would elect. It is different from filling a vacancy in that what appointment you make is for the full 4 years, as opposed to a vacancy that you feel is only good for till the next election. It is your decision, or you could use it as an alternative for a resolution. So open the floor up now for discussion. Mr. Jones.
Body votes to break the tie.
I got a motion and a second. Now I entertain any discussion. Commissioner Gentry.
I think
The voters have spoken. They've elected both people to the commission. And I think it's only right if we return it to the voters. This is a free country, and one of the main freedoms we have is to vote. And I think if we take over that freedom from our constituents, they would never forgive us. I like Kenny Rich a lot, and he probably is deserving, but I think the other person must be deserving too because he got an equal amount of votes. Thank you.
Seeing no other comment, are you ready to vote? You'll vote yes if you want to break the tie. You'll vote no if you don't want to. Are you ready, Ms. Sandra? Tell me when. Again, your vote is, if you want to break the tie, you would vote yes. If you don't want to break the tie, then you would vote no. If you vote yes, and enough of you, 13 or better, vote to do that, then as soon as that happens, we'll go back and you will vote by paper ballot on which one you will vote for. Mr. Kevin Graves or Mr. Kenny Rich. If you vote no, then we'll have another vote that you'll have to vote to pass a resolution and put it out to referendum. Are we clear? Are we ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 17 yes and 7 no. Resolution, I'm sorry. The vote passes. Now it'll be time for you to cast your vote for either Mr. Kevin Graves or Mr. Kenny Rich. But at this time, what I would like to do is ask Mr. Graves, I believe he is here tonight, if he would come forth and speak to our commission. Mr. Graves, you're welcome to come to this top one if you'd like to, sir. Or you can speak from there, whichever one you want to do.
Thank you, Mayor. I am Kevin Graves, and let's say that you've made your vote and your choice, but 4 years ago, I made a decision to run for county commission of the 6th district. And I made this due to my opponent that come by my house, and we had a talk, and he did let me know if I would not run 4 years ago to let him have it and stay out of it, then in 4 years, I could run for it, and he would maybe support me and give me his supporters unless someone run against me. Therefore, that's when I made my mind up 6 years ago to run. It was a close run. It was 120 votes. This time, I had 143 more votes. He had only 23 more votes. So therefore, I ask you to take that into consideration. And also, I don't think that I could have done what my opponent just done. I would have had to abstain from that vote. And also, I just appreciate you thinking about me, and when you vote, I appreciate you giving me a chance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Graves. Thank you for being willing to serve. Mr. Rich, it's your opportunity.
I don't think I need any introduction to talk to you. I have served with each one of you anywhere from 4 years up to 12 years. I think you'll always find that, well, first of all, I do what I say I'm going to do. I think you can say that about me. We don't always agree on a lot of things, but I will do what I say I'm going to do. I think you'll find me to be always courteous to everybody. I pretty well speak to everybody, and I try to, let my feelings on different votes not in their end, my feelings on different people. I appreciate the commissioners that gave the 17 votes to break the tie. I appreciate your vote. I would like to say this to those that did not vote that way. I respect your decision. I really do. I know that you've had a lot of phone calls and you've agonized over this on what to do. And as far as I'm concerned, we're friends. We'll work together. And I respect your opinion on that. I really do. I respectfully request your vote though, at this time, because I feel like I am the best qualified, for this job. I will say this on something my opponent did say. I don't remember, what he said about the, coming by his house, exactly that way. I did go by his house. I don't lie. Everybody knows I don't lie. I went by his house and I did tell him, because he was gonna run. And I did say, if you don't run, I won't run again. I won't run again. But he did run. Everybody knows he ran against me 4 years ago. So I feel like I kept my word. So that's all I'll say. I respectfully request your vote for this. We've done a lot of great things for this county. There's a lot we still have to do, and I would appreciate your vote.
You've had the opportunity to hear from both candidates. Commissioner Justice, I would ask if you would help me in lieu that our pro tem is one of the candidates, if you could help me with the paper ballots, that would be helpful to have that oversight, please. Remember that you will be casting your vote on a paper ballot. These ballots will be notified at the end of the commission meeting, so it's not secret ballot, it's just paper ballot. It will take a simple majority of 13 votes for a candidate to win. Please be sure and sign your vote and put your district that you represent on there as well. It must be signed for it to count. Are all ballots in?
We're ready?
Yes, sir.
Kenny Rich? Kenny Rich? Got an abstention. Kenny Rich? 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 Kenny Rich. Abstain. Kenny Rich. $22 for Mr. Rich, 0 for Mr. Grace, 2 abstentions and 1 absent.
Thank you, Commissioner Justice. Congratulations, Commissioner Rich. Thank you, Commissioner Graves, Mr. Graves, for being willing to serve. Thank you. This time, we'll move forward now with a report from the Emergency Management Committee. Emergency Management Director's Report, Director Cooper.
Mayor, County Commission, at the end of July, as you can see in your report, we were just over 9,000 calls for the year. In our activity report, as you can see, this is kind of a real busy time of the year for us in all aspects. Other than that, I too, as the mayor said, want to thank each and every commissioner for being able to serve with you in this capacity. So outside of that, that concludes my report, unless there's any questions.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. And opposed? Thank you, Director Cooper. Report from Law Enforcement Committee, Commissioner Justice. Report from Sheriff's Report, Sheriff Bryan.
Thank you, Mayor, County Commissioners. Your report's in your packet. Pretty much all the numbers are on par. One I want to speak about tonight is the highest daily inmate population. Showed 510 inmates. When I left tonight, it was 502. I just want everybody to understand there ain't but 452 beds in there. So we are overcrowded, and we've been seeing them numbers over the past couple of year and a half. So it's something we're working different areas to try to figure out how to deal with it, and we'll continue to do that. On further in your report, inmate work bus, they continue to stay busy. I'd encourage every one of you to let us know if there's any roads out there that needs to be addressed and picked up. That's about it right now as far as tonight, but I would like to say to all the county commissioners and the ones that stay and the one that's not going to be with us anymore, it's been an honor working with each and every one of y'all. Y'all been fair to me, and I really appreciate it, and I'm going to miss you. So if your family, and come back to see us. So that concludes my report, unless there's any questions.
I got a motion to receive the report and a second. Now I got discussion. Commissioner Stafford.
Inmates do you have at the jail?
I was expecting this from another commissioner, but you go first.
Oh,
no, it's fine. They, as of today, we've got about 123 state inmates.
How much money do we make off of each one of those?
Not enough.
Oh, I figured that.
I want to say this. I've been hearing some different things going around from different people. There's 4,600 state inmates backed up in county jails throughout the state of Tennessee. Okay, if the state decides to build prisons today, they'd have to build 2.5 prisons to take care of all them inmates. Anybody that's sentenced to a felony charge in this county in criminal court, they become a state inmate. Once they do that, once they're convicted of that crime, it's not like I can load them up and take them down to Nashville and give them to them. They won't take them. I'd be happy to get rid of every one of them, but I can't do it because they won't take them. I'd be glad to do it. But we're working with them, and we're getting to the point of stalking them that we're asking so much. And we're getting 1 or 2 a week, if that, or every 2 weeks. So that's what a state inmate does. They're not worth it, and we're doing our best to get rid of them, but you can't do it.
So you can't take them to Hartsville?
No, everything's got to go through the state prison system out in Nashville or some reception center. They go into a reception center once they leave our building. They go into a reception center once they agree to take how many. We have to take them to that reception center, and they disperse them out from there. So no.
I just thought maybe it was convenient to drop them off over there.
Yeah, I know. I'd gladly take them over there. It'd be close.
Commissioner Patton.
Well, we'll have to add additional SROs and different things like that to it, as far as, looking at the grounds and different things. I heard that comment. We haven't been asked about that, so.
So, do you need a new jail now?
Now, a while ago, I spoke up and said we got 500 and so many inmates today, so yes, we got 450 beds. Now, in saying that, am I ready today to build a jail? I've got to get them figures. Them figures I should have in the next 3 or 4 months.
You good? Mr. Walker?
First, I want to say thank you to all you and all your deputies for all your fine work over the past 4 years. Thank you on your reelection. I understand that we are at capacity at our jail, and we purchased land to expand the jail, so I know you and previous commissions and previous sheriff have planned and paved the way for this. Couple questions. How long does this planning process take to develop plans, get everything ready, get all the permits to actually get to where you can bring it to the county commission for funding?
I will be sending out a report prepared by CTASC over the next few days to each and every one of you. It's got different recommendations and different steps that we need to take as a county commission to begin this. We've already begun, but we're sort of in, I'd call it the second phase. The next phase is reach out to different architecture companies and different things like that and move forward step by step. Try to get some hard numbers so y'all know as a commission what numbers, how much it's going to cost. That's what y'all got to know. What's it going to cost? And I feel confident I'll come back to this commission and y'all work with me. And I've been told, y'all will work with me because it's something we've got to do. And but we'll just have to work through in phases. I probably can get some hard numbers between December and January.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing that? We're already there. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Thank you, Sheriff Bryan. Report from Education Committee, Commissioner Stafford.
Commissioners, the education met in a joint meeting with the Budget Committee on Monday, July the 23rd at 5 o'clock in the upstairs courtroom. If there are no questions, I move these minutes be received and filed.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. And opposed? Okay. Director of Schools report, Director Donna Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. You have a packet that you received as far as on my report, and just want to do some updates, but we have some bragging rights. Our district has been named by the state of Tennessee as a Level 5 district. There's 147 school districts, only 59 were ranked as a Level 5, and that's really hot off the press. That came out last week. And with that, just want to acknowledge not only our teachers, our administrators, because the kind of results that we're seeing right now do not happen by accident. And it's the work of teachers, it's work of the administrators as far as making sure that our kids are meeting those targets. When you look at the results right now for the 2017-2018 10 Ready results, Wilson County Schools is ranked among the top 10 school districts in the state for literacy in grades 3 through 5. And again, that was a very concerted effort. The district's high school science scores are also ranked among the top 10 districts statewide for achievement and improvement in achievement. And so that right there needs to be celebrated. As we're talking about some things that sometimes can cause a lot of heartburn, there's a lot of great things that are happening in our schools. And as one gentleman said, it's remarkable as far as what he saw when he brought his children here. And again, it doesn't happen by accident. Our 4th grade math is ranked 2nd in the state compared looking at the growth index. English 3 is ranked 2nd in the state. English 2 ranked 6th in the state. Algebra 2 ranked 9th in the state. Chemistry ranked 9th in the state. 4th grade English language arts ranked 12th in the state. And then 5th grade English language arts ranked 15th in the state. And I could go on and on, but I won't because I know many of you are timing me. But that's the accolades that we have seen. Hey, listen, I've seen you check your watches. But that, again, really needs to be said and stated because it's that good and continues to get better as we look at what we need to do for our boys and girls. Current enrollment is 18,780. We continue to enroll. It's starting to slow down a little bit. We'll see another bump right after the Labor Day because we'll see movement coming in from the Midwest and out of New England. We have a visit scheduled with a group that's relocating to the Nashville area that is a Wall Street agency. And they have scheduled visits with our schools this coming week. Had a note this morning, and so we're going to accommodate them. And it's one that, again, they're looking at bringing 1,500 employees into the greater Nashville area, and they're looking at our schools. I also have for you, as far as Sandra placed one on your desk, this is also something that we are now sharing, because there's always a request for information about our schools. And as soon as we try to keep it current, as you'll notice, we've got 18,600 students on it when it went to press, and we've already added almost 200 to that when it came out. So that's for you to have as well. And then there was a request, and if anyone wants a copy of this, I'll be happy to give it to you. I have it back there in the back. There was a request for a heat map for middle schools, which, again, this is something that we do and produce, particularly when you look at the logistics of what we're trying to transport kids. And you'll see that the middle school heat map mirrors very similarly. When you look at that density of that red dot and where it starts clustering there, it is really very similar to what you're seeing with the high school. So you're looking at the pipeline as far as what's going to continue behind the students that we have currently, and we can do the same thing with elementary schools. And just a comment as far as the question that was asked Sheriff Bryant about whether he's been able to assess our site yet. And not yet, but that will be something, because we always work very closely, and that's been something, Sheriff, about 8 months when we came together with as far as not only that conversation, but to make sure that they are part of not only our assessment, but also looking at some factors that, as some people say, well, why do you not post your safety plans on your website so they can review them? Well, there's a reason why we don't make it public. And we've been asked that many times, but the sheriff knows that he is, not only his department and his people that he works with, they are a resource that we cannot do without. And we take his advisement very clearly. And so with that, I want to thank the commissioners that have been patient with me, that have been here the last 4 years. And I mean that most sincerely. And also, I want to say that not only thank you, but I'll also tell you that I've learned a lot and appreciate what you've contributed. And Commissioner Bush, I'll miss you too.
Y'all hear a motion to approve the report? A second. Now we got discussion. Commissioner Gentry.
Dr. Wright, on our middle schools, the Mount Juliet Middle and West Wilson Middle, they're already over their capacity. I have not seen your redistricting map when the new Glayville School is going to be open. Could you make that available to us?
Well, that's something we've already had. We've had several, a couple of community meetings, and then we put it on hold because, again, movement and enrollment is very fluid. And so we postponed that and promised the community as well as the schools that will be impacted as far as when we start moving, particularly south of the interstate. That will come out in October.
Okay, because I've had comments with people
Yes.
that have kids in those schools, and they want to know. They told me they didn't think it would have any impact in our schools there. I said, it's got to have an impact because we have no students there yet.
It's, we have 1,500 seats that will be available at Gladeville Middle.
Right.
But once we start making that shift, because just as a reminder, we're looking at around 1,660 at Mount Juliet Middle School. And we're looking at a little over 1,300 now at West Wilson. And so when we start making that division, as far as we're particularly looking at those that have been traveling north of the interstate, and we'll start making that pattern. But that's also one that it's a very emotional piece, because there's that people already start factoring as far as what high school am I going to. And so we will have those meetings and map out as far as where those divisions will be as students are moved into the new middle school.
Will it be more equal amongst the three?
As best we can, but we also have to project as far as we're looking at future developments that are coming into play, particularly when you're looking down there at the Beckwith Center and what we'll project in the next 3 to 4 years. That has to go into consideration too, and make sure we have capacity.
Commissioner Walker.
Real quick, I just want to thank you for all the work you've done with the school and the school boards. Safety and security is first and foremost in the state. The state legislature's taken up, I think, we've done a great job in Wilson County with the SROs and our safety plan. I also want to thank the Sheriff's Department, Mike Justice, City of Lebanon, and the City of Mount Jewett for their coordinated efforts on our practice drills with safety incidents.
Well, and thank you, Commissioner Walker, for that, because again, when you look at some of the active shooting drills and some of the things that have taken place in this county, again, that makes us all not only aware, but also a concerted effort, and that's something that we should take pride in this county, because that doesn't happen everywhere.
No other discussions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. And opposed? Thank you, Dr. Wright. Report from Public Works Committee, Commissioner Keith. Ag Center Management Report, Commissioner Jones, excuse me.
Man, tell you what, Mr. Chairman, the Ag Management Committee met on July the 19th, 2018 at the Ag Center. Minutes in your packet. I move they be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. And opposed? Animal Control, Commissioner Marlowe.
Animal Control is not me, but Ms. Scruggs did provide a report in the packet.
Need to approve that? I hear a motion to approve the report. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. And opposed? Audit, Commissioner Bernard.
There's in the conference room, I move the minutes be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. And opposed? Back tax, Commissioner Patton. Cable television, Commissioner Walker. Development tourism, Commissioner Vanatta. Ethics, Commissioner Ash. Finance, Commissioner Glover. Health and Welfare, Commissioner Seaver. Insurance, Commissioner Ash. Judicial, Commissioner Keith. Planning and Zoning, Commissioner McFarland. Recreation, Commissioner Vanek. Rules, Commissioner Muncher.
30 p.m. in the upstairs conference room. The minutes are in your packet. I move they be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. And opposed? Urban Top Facility Board, Commissioner Joins.
That Facility Board met on August the 10th, 2018 at the Road Commission. Minutes in your packet. I move they be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. And opposed? Financial Director's Report, Mr. Aaron Maynard.
I would also like to say thank you to all the departing members. I'd like to do that individually, maybe afterwards. Becky, you were on the Finance Committee when I was hired, and you voted to hire me even though I was chewing gum and appeared slightly arrogant at the time. Let's see, Adam, you are the only one who has a better hairdo on the County Commission than I do. Yeah. And I'd like to go around and do that with everybody. But seriously, you have a budget in front of you. You have a proposal in front of you to fund a school. All I'm here for is to answer any questions that I haven't already answered to your satisfaction, that I related to the finance side, not the site, obviously.
All in favor, say aye. Report for the Budget Committee, Commissioner Justice.
Stock here in the courthouse, the minutes in your packet, I move they be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. And opposed? Resolutions, Commissioner Justice.
Resolution 18-8-1, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee, approving an increase in the adequate facilities tax to $4,000 per unit.
Got a motion, do I hear a second? I got a motion and a second, now discussion. Commissioner Franklin.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules to consider Resolution 18-8-1.
Motion to suspend the rules to consider 18-8-1.
This resolution he just read.
Okay. We want to suspend the rules to talk about this resolution that we're on right now. That was on the agenda.
Well, it didn't go through the proper committees, and I was of the mind that obey our rules. I mean, it takes 17 votes either way. I just want to do it right. This is raising taxes on the county. It didn't go through, I sit on the Planning Zoning Committee. It didn't go through my committee. It didn't go through the Budget Committee. I was at that. It didn't go through the Finance Committee. Hell, Public Works, any number of committees, hadn't been through a committee. So to take it up, we need to suspend our rules. I don't know why there would be a problem. 17 votes to suspend the rules, 17 votes to make it pass. At least it'll be right.
Okay, give me a second. Mike?
I'm not sure what the issue is, just to be honest with you.
Okay.
It was
So-
in the packet, signed by a county commissioner, sent out, filed 7 days in advance, and sent out in the packet, so I'm not sure what the issue is.
Okay, I have had many items to come before this commission that didn't get through committee properly. And I have been told, fellow commissioners have been told, we all have to suspend the rules to hear those items. Yes, any county commissioner can bring anything to the agenda, but we have a rule that says that the mayor shall take all things to the proper committee, and this hasn't been done in this case. Now, I would stress to this county commission that one of the worst things you can do to pass an adequate facilities tax is to break your own rules. You already had an attorney tell you, I think they're the attorneys who are suing Williamson County, know what they're talking about. I mean, I don't want to start this process by breaking our own rules.
And your thought process is that if we suspend the rules with a second and the votes to do that, then we discuss it during that time, and then we go back into session to pass it. It makes it legal. Is that what you're saying?
To hear this resolution that didn't go through committee, we have to do it under the suspension of our rule. We have to suspend the rule to send this to committee. That's my understanding. Rules 15, 16, and 17 of our rule book require these things to go to committee. Now, I've been denied, Joy Bishop has been denied, any countless numbers of county commissioners cannot bring items directly to this court. Now, why are we doing this? Because a lawyer is going to sit up in front of a judge and say, they didn't even abide by their own rules to pass this on tax on Wilson County.
And I think how we got where we were is that when we had our last budget committee meeting, there were several discussions about how to fund it. And therefore, the budget committee did not come up with any recommendation. They just said they pass it on to the county commission to decide funding. So therefore, that's why you have the resolutions that you have in the packet. But I have no problem suspending the rules and letting you talk about it. I just want to figure out what your plan was.
Okay, can I talk about it since if?
You gonna vote against suspending the rules? Okay. Let's go through the process then. How about that? I got a motion to suspend the rules. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? I got a second? Okay, all in favor say aye. Okay, so we will vote on that, please, Ms. Sonia. I gotta have enough to suspend the rules. How many does it take, Mike?
17.
Takes 17 to suspend the rules, so we'll vote. If you'll set it for me, if you want to suspend the rules.
And I can read the rule that applies here. if that
Okay.
saves some time. Rule 17 that says the county mayor shall refer all resolutions to the committees. However, the failure of the committee to act upon a resolution shall not prevent the resolution's consideration by the commission. So,
I don't know, Mike, Justice, did we talk about the ag facility tax in our budget meeting?
It was brought up.
Brought up, so therefore you're saying it's being considered, Commissioner Muncher?
There was a lot brought up. There wasn't a monetary amount, no.
No, Muncher. So we're gonna continue with our rule process. We're ready to vote. If you want to suspend the rules, vote yes. If you don't, vote no. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. So we will not suspend the rules. We will move forward with this discussion. Any discussion further on 18-8-1? Commissioner Joines?
come up with a school funding, I thought that maybe give us, opportunity to do that. And the reason why I asked for this to, be put in a packet was to give us a vehicle to do that. And, I have talked to several folks, in different parts of the county. And every time you hear something that you wanna, when it comes up to schools, they always talk about growth, growth, growth. And that's what causes our school. This is the opportunity here for us to let growth pay for a school. Now, our bond council told us that we could build a school for $890 adequate facilities tax. I said, let's put 1,000 on it, because there's a lot of folks, there's some folks that think, if the economy goes down, we won't be able to pay for it. But, Ashley McAnulty, which is the person that we hire to be our expert to tell us if we can pay for something, said that we could pay for it with $890, no problem, and not affect our fund balance, our debt service. So he's our expert. He's the one we go to when we say, hey, can we do this? How much is it gonna cost to do that? And, he's not only our expert, he's experts for a lot of other counties and cities as well. So he's our expert. The school system also has hired experts on the site that we're talking about building this school. They've hired experts for the architecture that's built school, that's designed schools in this county and other counties, in the, state. And their reputation is, I don't think you can, talk about it. They're a good, great firm, experts. Civil site design, they don't only work for the school system, they work for large developers in Wilson County and other counties, experts on what they do. We've hired geotech folks, experts in what they do. Their reputation's on the line. Doesn't matter to them if we build a school there or not. They were hired to do a job and said, can we build a school on this site? And they said, yes, you can. We've had archaeologists, we've had geologists, we have every kind of ologist there is to come out to this site and say, is it okay to build a school on this site? And every one of those experts have said, yes, you can build a school on this site. It's suitable. Now, there's a lot of folks that talk about the schools that say we can't. So I'd like to give them an opportunity to present their experts. Why do they say that? Is it just something that they come up with? Or is it something that they've heard? Or is it another commissioner talking to another commissioner? We've got experts on the side that says we can build the school. I'd like to hear from the experts that said that we can't. We've heard a lot of people here tonight said it's not a good site, but I don't know if you would consider those experts. So I don't understand where all the questions coming from. There's gonna be several opportunities tonight for the people on this county court to show whether they support the school system or whether they don't. There's gonna be a lot of people standing up and say, I support the school system. I understand that. I believe all 25 of us are gonna stand up and say, we support the school system. It's gonna take 17 to prove it. And I encourage all of you to vote for this resolution, because we can fund it another way. The mayor and Aaron Maynard, our expert, said we could do it out of the fund balance. Personally, I think this is the best way to do it, because it's letting growth pay for it. We've got several ways to do it, but tonight you're gonna get a chance to prove that you support the school system or you don't. And I encourage you to vote for this. Thank you.
Commissioner Franklin?
Back on the subject. I want to suspend the rules because one of the whereas in the Pride Act 2003, it is necessary and appropriate that Wilson County be given authorization to extend its taxing power to enable the county to impose a fair and reasonable share of the cost of public facilities
Any other comments before we vote? To raise the ad facility tax $1,000 to fund the school? So be.
You approve going out of session. Consider this.
No, we did not. It failed.
Well, we went out of session.
No, we didn't. No, it failed.
Not tonight.
It failed.
Well, the reason that it was brought up was to discuss this because it was an inappropriate resolution, not having gone through a committee. Okay? So going out of session failed, therefore we cannot discuss it, and you, by Rule 17, must send it back to committee. That's what it says, 17. The county mayor shall refer all resolutions to the appropriate committee. This specific resolution has not been through any committee.
Keep reading.
Resolution,
Reading that.
the resolution in, say again?
Can you keep reading that rule?
Absolutely. I will read the entire rule, not just 2 sentences like my colleague just did.
Yeah, that'd be great.
County ma, actually, Mr. Mayor, why don't you read it? You have it?
Why don't you just take over?
Mike?
I think this is ultimately gonna wind up with me, so I'll read it, or I'll just tell you what I think. Frank and I had this discussion last Monday night for about 45 minutes. He cost me my supper, 'cause I didn't get out of the office till about 8:45. And I told him then what my opinion was gonna be, and it has not changed. The resolution is appropriate to be here because it is signed by a sponsor. That's allowed. There's one or two ways you get a resolution here. You either approve it through a committee, or you get a sponsor to sign it. It's here. It has to be filed with the county clerk 7 days in advance. That was done. It went out in the packet 7 days in advance. Each one of you got that 7 days in advance. The question then comes, Rule 17, and I have to fall in on that last sentence as well. The failure of the committee to act upon a resolution shall not prevent the resolution's consideration by the commission.
But the
There's that
committee
word
has
shall
not
again.
seen the resolution. So if it has not seen the resolution, it has no basis to act.
Call for question.
Don't you see the inconsistency of your position?
No, sir, I don't. I didn't last Monday night, and I don't this Monday night. However, the failure of the committee to act upon a resolution shall not prevent the resolution's consideration by the commission. That's pretty plain.
Mr. Walker?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Question's been called for. I have 2 in the hopper. Go ahead.
I'd like to have something, added and entered into the minutes. I'm gonna speak to it. I left a copy in each of the commissioner's desk, if you would. There's a couple internet, articles here. The first page, it says, I'll give you a minute to find them and read along with me. Home builder and construction stocks enter bear market. Declines in lumber liquidators and American Woodmark push the home to construction exchange traded fund, or ITD, into bear market territory, down more than 21%. Almost 80% of ITD components were trading in correction level or worse Wednesday afternoon, including all home building companies. This is dated August 16th, 2018. It goes on to say stocks of major home construction companies fell on Wednesday, beleaguered by a slump in U.S. equity trading and a decline in home building
Two more. I had them in the hopper to begin with when the question was called for. Mr. Glover?
Aaron, can you just give a refresher to everybody, the options that we have, funding the use tool?
I don't know if this works or not. I know Ms. Teresa prefers it when I speak into the microphone. I don't know if it works. I'm gonna assume it doesn't. There were, three options put forward. The first option was a $890 increase in adequate facilities tax. I don't know if that was first in order, but that was one that was put forward. The second was a referendum, on sales tax, in November. And the third option was, the shuffling of pennies to the tune of $1 million out of the general fund into the general debt service fund, coupled with the reduction in pennies going to the general purpose school fund, which would be offset in the general purpose school fund with a transfer from the special purpose tax fund. That last option required no tax increase. It just required a resetting of the tax rate, as far as where it goes. If you look in your appropriation resolution, each fund is specified a certain fraction of cents or fractions thereof. So that was the option that required no increase.
That's what I was bringing up. I think this is kind of getting the cart before the horse. That we need to decide what we're gonna do first, and if it comes to the decision that we need to raise the tax, then we can do that. There's an option here that doesn't require that, and I don't see why we would tax our citizens until we can figure out what exactly we need.
Last one, Commissioner Franklin.
I guess, I'm worried something with this committee. We don't have to go to committee. All we gotta do is sponsor the resolution, sign it at the bottom, and you come in here and 13 votes to pass. That's what I'm being told. Well, that's actually It's 17 votes. Animal control. This came in here without 17 votes. Just the signature. I know Joy Bishop come in here week and month after month after month to try to get a resolution. Without 17 votes, denied. Just 2 months ago, the attorney asked me for my resolution to require this board to videotape this meeting and committee meetings, but education committee meetings. He said, committee hadn't acted on it in time. It's gonna take 17 votes to get it out there. You bring it, or you can wait for the next meeting when the committee acts on it. So are we gonna, if we move forward, we're basically saying a signature on the bottom of a resolution, we're bringing you the 13 votes. I'm misunderstanding something.
I don't think you misunderstand anything, and I'll just, cut through where we're at. And I think that the school funding has been an issue for quite some time. There's been several budget workshops, several meetings over it. And the options that you got in here tonight, you got a school bond in there that you can have the same argument about. You got the AFT in there as well. And so those are there. They were brought because that's been the topic for the last 8 months, 9 months. It has been talked about some at our committees. Now, as Mayor Jennings brought to you, it's there. If you don't want to vote for it, 17 votes is what it takes to pass it, you can kill it. Going back to Mr. Glover's concern, there are other ways to options to pay it. You've heard Mr. Maynard say that, so you vote no if you don't want to do without a facility tax. Or if you don't believe we ought to be considering it, you can vote no there. But according to my attorney, it can be heard tonight. Yes, sir.
Committee properly, this board would not have learned for the first time tonight that all those lots out there that have been approved on preliminary plat, which are over 15,000 lots, for the next 15,000 lots, to take a building permit, this $1,000, if it's raised, is not gonna apply. If this had went through proper committee, my committee that I'm on, I would have mentioned that.
Sure. All right, we are ready to vote.
How do I get this entered in the minutes officially? What's the procedure for that?
Just give Miss Sandra a copy. She said she'd take care of it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we are ready to vote.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Question's been called for, so I don't know if point of order can happen. You can get that, yeah, go ahead.
The question still remains whether a resolution signed by a commissioner brought forward to this body without going through committee can be considered under normal order.
I leaned to my county attorney and made his a judgment, and I couldn't side with it.
And the attorney says yes. Is that correct, sir?
The answer I gave a while ago is the one I stand on. I do want to comment on something Commissioner Franklin said. I have not drafted a resolution for every one of you, but a great majority of you have asked me to do resolutions for you when the packet had already gone out and said, can you do this and sign my name to it? And I've done that, and they've been voted on here. Now, some of them have been voted on, some of them have been sent back. But what we're talking about tonight shouldn't be a strange thing to anybody, because it has happened before. I draft the resolutions and I don't make them up. If you call me and ask me to do it after the packet's gone out, I'm gonna do it because I work for you. That's what I'm supposed to do. But when you act like this is something that we have never done before, you got some mighty short memories.
We are ready to vote. You want to raise the ag facility tax $1,000, you vote yes. Take 17 to pass it. You don't agree with any of it, you'd vote no, all the way around. Commissioner Marlowe, all hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. That's 17 to pass, so it failed. Next resolution.
18-8-2, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee to approve and accept the bond of the Wilson County trustee. Motion to approve.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. And opposed? Next resolution.
18-8-3, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee to amend Rule 35 of the Rules of Order. Motion to approve.
I got a second. We'll have to vote on this, and it takes 17 votes to amend the rule. You ready? No, sir. It takes 17 votes to amend the rule, so we'll need your vote. Vote yes if you'd like to amend the rule and appoint your own chairman, or if you want to leave it like it is and allow me to do that, vote no. Please cast your vote. Sure. Okay. If you vote yes tonight, then you're taking my power away to appoint the chairman and the vice chair of the committees. If you vote yes. If you vote no, then you leave the power with me. Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Hang on one second. All hearts and minds good? Yes, if you want to leave, yes. If you want to elect your own chairman, let's go back. Yes, if you want to elect your own chairman, you vote no to this rule if you want to leave the power with me. So no leaves the power with the county mayor. Yes changes the rule and allows you to elect your own chairman of each committee. Are you still good? Let's clear the board and start over, please. I may have said that wrong. Yeah. So they want to amend the rule out of the Rules Committee in order to vote, in order for you to allow to elect your own chairman. So if you want to elect your own chairman in these committees instead of letting me do it, you'll vote yes. If you want to leave it like it is, you would vote no. Now cast your vote. Apologize for messing it up. Commissioner McFarland? All hearts and minds good now with your vote? Please record. Stay like it is. Next resolution.
18-8-4, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee expressing our opposition to racially motivated and device comments. An emphatic motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second. Now discussion. Mr. Franklin?
Until the commissioner is seated, so I can vote on it.
Motion to defer. Do I hear a second? Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. We'll need to vote it then. Can't tell.
Can I discuss it?
We can. Discussion on the amendment if you want to. I'm okay with that. Commissioner Seaver?
I'd like to not vote to defer it. My District One, which I love and have been commissioner for 8 years, recently went through a situation in which there were racially motivated statements that were made during the days following the recent election. This has been upsetting and appalling to the people in my district and really all over the county. I have received many calls about a certain situation. It is important that we as a body do not endorse or condone any such behavior, and I urge the county commission to vote unanimously to make a public statement expressing our opposition of such racially intolerant comments.
Commissioner Ash?
Mr. Chairman, I've been notified by at least 2 commissioners and a number of citizens as well as a number of news reports just headed to the ethics committee. As chairman of the ethics committee, I'm the only one left, so I will abstain from the vote. So let's have a clear picture of what we're looking at.
Commissioner Patton?
As Commissioner Seaver said, this is just merely a confidence vote for the citizens of Wilson County to realize that we don't accept or condone any racism whatsoever. Everybody needs to hear that from someone, from people periodically in their life. It's like telling your family that you care about them, that you're going to do what you can for them, that there's nothing going to stand in the way, that racism is not acceptable, period. That's all it is. There's no names mentioned, nothing.
Commissioner Stafford?
First off, I'd like to say, I am very proud of Commissioner Patton for bringing this resolution forward. I, as an African American, took it very, very personal about what was said in the newspaper. Of course, it was on his own time, and he wasn't actually elected official at that time. But I think if we vote, yes, to let the people know that we do not condone his comments, I think we need to stand up strong as a county. We have a lot of diversity in this county, and I think we need to let the people coming in know that it does not matter what race, creed, color, gender, religion, any of that should matter. So I would strongly hope and pray to give us some kind of confidence in this county that we do not condone racism whatsoever. I mean, there are genders, there's religion, there's age, and are we going to violate the federal law by allowing this to be said and taken care of? So I personally hope that each of you vote your conscience, and we'll see in a minute.
Commissioner Justice?
I just want to add that I hope everybody votes for this. I spend every day of my career trying to make sure there is no racial divide in this city. And the saddest part about this whole thing tonight is that this body, which is always known to be a strong body, can't remove this man from office. That's my opinion.
Question's been called for. I've got 2 in the hopper. Commissioner Franklin?
I agree with everything that's been said. Only problem is, the person, and everybody is highlighted, and Becky even admitted it's in her district, it's been all over the newspapers, is a private citizen. You can walk through Hardee's in Lebanon or Mount Juliet any day and do resolutions like this all day long if you want to. I would rather do this resolution when he's here, to his face. Let him respond to it. This commission isn't racist. There's no need that we have to declare we're not racist because somebody in the private citizen said that. If he is seated on this commission, I'll vote for this. But if not, I didn't get loan power to cast on private citizens, whether or not they say something silly or out of the way or racist or whatever it is. But once he's a commissioner, once he takes his oath, just like I'm fair game, I can say anything I want. I'll vote for this then. But I'm not going to do it behind his back.
Commissioner Walker, last one.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for bringing this up. I firmly believe that we've got a great group of commissioners here. In the last cable TV committee meeting, we put be heard here soon. Along with that, there's the internet use policy that was discussed and debated in our Rules Committee, and it was tabled because it's going to take a great deal of time to formulate something that'll work. And I want to thank you, Mayor Hutto, for working together with our HR director, our IT director, in developing something, because this did play out in electronic media. And, you know, we have to be real careful with electronic media in these days. What's said and spread out there does have impacts. And I do believe it's important as a county government body that we do have a policy in place, and I look forward to working alongside you to develop that policy.
Questions have been called for and answered now. We have an amendment on the floor to defer this resolution. If you want to defer it, vote yes. If you don't want to, vote no. Commissioner Walker? Commissioner Bishop?
I really think myself that this is something that maybe we don't even need to take action on. I think that all of us don't need to really be throwing stones. And it seems to me that our actions may speak louder than our words in a resolution. I don't feel comfortable voting for or against this. I really don't. I wish
Well-
that it had been pulled from the packet, but it wasn't. So now that's my feeling.
We got a motion on the floor to defer it and not vote on it, so you can vote yes to defer it till the next month and maybe it gets pulled, or you can abstain right now, whichever you'd like to do. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. The motion's back on the floor. Now you're ready to vote. This is voting on the resolution as read earlier. Please cast your vote. Commissioner Keith? All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. Resolution passes. Continue, Commissioner Justice.
18-8-5, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners, Wilson County, Tennessee, adopting the provisions of Public Chapter Number 923 regarding registration fees for motor vehicles of active volunteer firefighters. Motion to approve.
I got a motion and a second. Now, any discussion? Mr. Gentry?
I have a question. How many people will this affect in the county? Do we know?
I do not know. There's only one volunteer fire department, and Mr.
25.
Justice may know.
Probably approximately 25.
Now, this is after 1 year's service, correct?
Yes.
Is that what it is? Now, I'm sorry, I mean, we have a lot of people here serving the military for many years, and none of us get free license plates. I find it hard to adopt a resolution that gives 25 people free license plates because they serve. 25 of us serve here. Of course, we've been elected to serve, but we serve. We don't get free license plates either. And I'm sorry, I cannot support this.
Commissioner Patton?
Yes, the state's already voted on the free license plates, period. That's not our decision. Mr. Goodall can probably tell you all the details that's needed, and, the volunteer fire department is the Watertown Fire Department that answers many of the calls with Weymouth Station 2 and Statesville and whoever else is out in the area, even out as far almost as Gladeville. So just, all that does is just take the $25 wheel tax from them, since the state is also taking the, giving them their license plate. And I understand that Mr. Goodall, with it, just, you'll have to go through a different kind of, payment system, or having someone do different records and state, it's a state law, so.
You'll speak to it?
Would you like to speak to it? Yes, it's already.
And all the state fees and everything, that's state law. That's been exempted from that. I think all we was gonna ask you to do, the only thing we're charging is the $25, and that's gonna have to be up to y'all, whether y'all want them to pay the wheel tax or let it go. But it's state law as far as all their state fees and everything paid for.
Commissioner Ash?
I really can't understand why we're debating this. I'm proud of what I'm about to tell you. I've been wounded 3 times in combat. You know that. And my plane's free. Now, I'm sorry if that offends anybody. These firefighters do a heck of a good job for this community, and these also need reserve deputy sheriffs for them. We ought to be considering them in this resolution tonight. They spend their own time, their own money, and I back the favor, resolution 100%, but I'm sorry, some of us will get the free pass. But now I got 4 other cars, I don't get it on, okay? So you'll know. I just have to say this, let's pass this resolution, we all.
Questions called for, none in the hopper, so therefore we are ready to vote. Please cast your vote. Commissioner Ash? All hearts and minds good with your vote? You did.
You forgot to vote.
Please record. 22 yes, 2 no, 1 absent. Resolution passes.
Eighteen eight 6, a resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation school bonds of Wilson County, Tennessee, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $107 million, in one or more series making provisions for the issuance, sale, and payment of said bonds, establishing the terms thereof, and the disposition of proceeds therefrom, providing for the levy of taxes for the payment of principal, of premium, if any, and interest on the bonds. Motion to approve.
Discussion now. Commissioner Franklin?
Rules on this, hadn't been through any committees.
Been to the Budget Committee.
Didn't pass the budget committee.
Been through it. It's been discussed. The Budget Committee made a motion to approve the budget and to send the school to the full commission for discussion. If you want to build a school, you got to vote yes. If you don't want to build a school, then you vote no.
Just for clarification right here, I think, Mike, help me. If you vote yes to build a school, you voted no on the ag facility tax. Therefore, you're moving to vote to move the pennies, as Aaron said, $1 million from the general fund, 1.23 cents out of general purpose school tax fund to build a school with no tax increase to the citizens. And so when you vote yes on this for the bonds, you're voting for the funding as well. Am I correct?
No, you're just voting on this resolution.
Okay.
The funding, but if you approve this resolution, you're gonna fund it somewhat.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
That'll be
You'll
different.
get that chance, I didn't mean.
okay. So that would come when we vote on the budget then?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So we're just voting on the bonds. Commissioner Franklin, you've spoke and you're good, or you got another one? Give me, let me come back to you since you've already spoken. Commissioner Bishop?
Wanted to ask if we have an opportunity to look at some other funding methods, like to put it in the referendum in November. Because if we pass this now, it's pretty much, it'll probably get pushed on the back burner. And I would like to see other funding methods looked at, so we won't have to take so much out of various places and shuffle it around and do this creative finance. I mean, I can always call it creative finance. But I'm for the school, and I don't want anybody to tell me I'm not for the school. But I'm not necessarily wanting to do it this way.
And I'll just speak to your comment. We have spent quite a bit of time giving you the options. Property tax was taken off the list wheel tax was taken off the list, you had two options. One, that we could move the money inside that we have because we have a surplus there. That is the only reason we're moving it. It is not in jeopardy. It's not causing us any conflict, or Mr. Maynard and Mr. McAnulty would have said it's a problem. That was their number one solution. But they said if you didn't want to do that, you could pass an attic facility tax instead of doing that. We both said, hey, that is the two options that we have. There's no need for a wheel tax or a property tax. So those are two options you got. I don't know, I mean, we can talk about it next month and the next month and the next month, but it's going to be the same options, Mr. Maynard, unless you know something I don't know. So if you want to build a school, here's a way to fund it. If you don't want to build a school, then you just say no and we move on. But the funding is not going to change between now, next month, 6 months from now. I mean, as far as, Mr. Maynard, speak to this. I mean, am I,
Again, the only other option you have funded was sales tax. It's the only other option that was discussed. Those are the only three options that were on the table. That's the only three that were on the table.
okay.
You only get that from a public referendum, which makes it a big hill to climb.
What do we have to do in order to get this to the public referendum?
Another motion, Joe. Motion to approve this.
I'm still asking questions.
I think this, I believe, and I'm not the one to answer the question, but I will anyway, I believe this body passes a resolution saying that they wish it to be on the ballot in November. I believe that's how that starts, but the county attorney will have to.
Which we'd have to have a
That's what
straw
you would-
meeting in order to get that done. But I think these people would support that. I think the school system would support that. I've had some people tell me that they would.
With, if I may,
Yes, sir. Mr. Maynard, go ahead.
just a moment. I realize it has happened one other time in the history of the county. I believe in the mid-nineties. But I will say that's the question that I get asked more often than any other question as finance director from members of the public. Why are you always raising my property tax? Why are you not raising the sales tax? Why are you not raising the wheel tax? Why are you not raising an adequate facilities tax? And I tell them the same thing every time. Because every time it comes in front of you, you kill it. And they will kill it again and all that.
Most likely they will, but we could give them.
Mr. Justice?
There's a few things that I'd like to say. First of all, this has been debated for a long time, and we finally got through whether it's our choice where it goes, and we got past all that. Now it's time to fund it. And when we were elected to make bad, hard decisions. And there's been mornings I've dreaded going in Linwood BP because I knew those hard decision talks were coming. This is one of them. The finance director that we hired and fired is sitting in this room telling us that without a tax, without adding burden to somebody else right now, we can build a school. If you delay this, if this doesn't happen tonight, and we delay this, you might want to add about 3 to 5% to it, from what I gather. Because if the bids fail, we go back out to bid again. If anybody in this room thinks that bid is going to be the same as it is now, I got some property I want to sell you. Because it's not going to happen. Right now, your finance director is sitting in this room and is telling you that you can build this school with the surplus monies we have now. I didn't vote on adequate facilities tax. I think it's something's going to have to happen in the future. Robert's going to need a jail. There's going to be other things coming, other schools coming. But right now, you can build this school without sending it back out to bid and costing the taxpayers more money by the time it comes back again and is rebid and you get ready to make this same argument again, that you're going to sit in the same room and do the same thing again 3, 4, 5 months from now. We can build a school if you vote on this tonight. We can move the money around in the budget, surplus monies, not new tax dollars. And I'm asking you to consider that.
Mr. Franklin? Does not. General fund balance will stay above 10. Mr. Bush?
I'd like to take a few minutes to make sure everybody understands what is really happening. Ashley made a great presentation in front of us, and in the course of
Commissioner Joins?
You know, over the last 12 years, I've had the opportunity to vote on a lot of schools. And it's been the easiest vote I have ever made. We get a chance. There's not very often where you get a chance to make a difference in somebody's life. But when you build a school, if it costs $107 million, that's something that's going to go on for the next 30, 40, 50 years. I mean, the people that we educate in that school are going to be sitting right here. They're going to be sitting up there with the mayor's office. Now, when he was in Lebanon High School, didn't nobody think he's ever going to be here. But that's the opportunity we got tonight. You got in front of you, like Mike said, an opportunity to build a school without a tax increase. Man, we should have voted on this 15 minutes ago. It's easy. Think about it now. We can build a school in Mount Juliet, state-of-the-art school that we can all be proud of with no tax increase. And we're debating it. Unbelievable.
Mr. Walker?
Yeah, I shared with you briefly earlier about the housing market bubble that's about to occur. I'd like a show of hands of how many people had their property tax assessed from 20, 30, 40%. Anybody out in the gallery? Show of hands. Nobody's had their property taxes go up, but their property value assessed higher. Property value. Anybody out there?
Oh, God.
22%? Anybody else?
Let's keep our, let's keep our conversation here and doing the business within our chambers, please, so we can move forward. Commissioner Walker, move.
Point I want to make is we recently had a tax assessment increase because the property values haven't increased yet. When you have a housing market bubble that pops, guess what happens to property values? When they say pop, something that's like this, it shrinks. That would be your property value. And it's gonna happen. What happens when that occurs? Do you think there might be some homeowners that go through the Board of Equalization and try and get their property taxes or their assessment reduced to the correct market value? When that happens, you think we might have a decrease in real estate property taxes? I mean, as Commissioner Bush explained, we've got an awful lot of balloon debt out there. And if our revenue stream shrinks to pay that funding mechanism for that debt, we're in serious trouble. This is real, folks. I can tell you, I talked to a consultant with Allianz. Allianz is a large insurance company involved in securities, annuities, real estate, investment, property, and other stuff. It's real. I just want to share that with everybody.
Commissioner McFarland?
Chairman, I'm not sure what Commissioner Bishop statement would have been gold, but it was almost a motion to do a referendum. Was that your motion?
I would like to see a referendum done. I asked the question, what do we need to do that?
There's a motion on the floor.
I got, if we can, I've got people that, let's talk to the motion on the floor. If somebody wants to make another motion, be more than happy for you to do that, but let's talk to the motion we have it at hand. Anything else, Commissioner McFarland? Commissioner Ash?
Motion, we were talking about funding, right? Funding mechanisms. So, Mr. Maynard. Yes, sir. If the public so chooses, and there's a whole lot of horsepower back here now, I tell you, on both sides. Yes, sir. If the public chooses to pass a half-cent sales tax, yes, which is what Williamson County did, yes, my figures show it would bring in somewhere close to $5 million extra a year. Is that correct? That's correct. So, let me just finish. So, if that money was put in the special purpose tax fund and nowhere else, in that resolution, yes, sir, it would go totally to build schools from now on. Yes, sir. Now, and I'm not gonna get into all this stuff with everybody else. everybody likes the site or not, I'm kind of convinced we're probably gonna end up building a school down there. But the school system did an excellent job of bringing us this document. And irregardless of whether y'all like Mickey or Donna or anybody else, I've spent a lot of time reading this document. Out of the 24 things they pointed out, there are 8 things in here that really need to be done now. It's gonna take a lot more money than the adequate facilities tax will bring in. I mean, several millions of dollars worth of security, upgrades and maintenance. I can't believe we're even allowing such a little bit of money per student per maintenance of our buildings. We need to help the school system achieve these other things. We can't do it with just adequate facilities tax alone. We're fooling ourselves. But it will bring in $5 million. And I think these folks back here are willing to help get that done. But we need to let the public decide. There's 77 days between now and special called elections, the actual November election. 77 days. I mean, ain't no blow up jails, no blow up schools gonna show up in 77 days. I would like to give the public a chance to vote on that. In the meantime, if the public don't vote on it, this body's gonna have to inflict a lot of financial pain on some people. And I'm willing to do it to get the schools built. But let's exercise all of our options first. And let's at least give the public a chance to have a say on it, not just here in this room, but let them have a chance to say on it the ballot box, because it's gonna take more than $107 million, because Ms. Wright has laid this out to me pretty plainly, and I can pull out 20 million right now out of here, out of this $800 million document that needs to be done right now. And we can't do it all with the adequate facility tax, so we'll be back in here raising the property taxes. And I'm not gonna vote to raise the property taxes. So I've been around here almost 50 years, maybe I've been here too long, but let's just give the public a chance to vote on this, and that's all I got to say. Then if it don't work out, we come back and we do exactly what Jeff's wanting to do. We inflict some pain. Yeah, I put that in the form of motion.
What happened to the motion on the floor?
You've got a motion pending. Let me say something else here before people start getting really worked up here. A while ago, y'all didn't want to vote on a resolution that's in writing in front of you because it violates the rules. Now, let me finish. Now you're getting ready to vote on something that nobody's seen. It's just drifting out there in the air. You're gonna have to reduce it to writing and follow your rules or suspend your rules, one of the two.
Yes, sir.
I recommend we send this back to the Budget Committee for consideration, to send a public referendum. And if the public, now listen to the rest of it. If the public says no, then everybody else can hang on, because I'm gonna build a school, okay? And they might get on for the big ride, because I make a motion, we send it back. The half cent goes back to the Budget Committee for consideration. When we get to that point, but we got the vote on the floor here first on this other one, I think, right?
Tell me your motion again, Terry.
My motion would be to send it to the Budget Committee for consideration.
Send this?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I said, I'm only gonna do that after we vote on this resolution right here.
All right. We may be able to work with that.
Commissioner Stafford?
I don't even know where to begin. We've hashed over this, we've talked about this, and we're gonna do that, and we need to build a school, you all know that. We've shown a lot of pride of getting rid of the I call them trailers that we put our kids in, but we're still sitting here hashing over how we're gonna do it. Everybody in this courtroom knows that people are not gonna vote a tax on themselves. We've had that before. We've put it up there before. We thought other people would support it. It's never happened. It's not gonna happen. That's the reason why the people vote for us to be up here to make these tough decisions. This is a tough decision, and I think we need to educate these kids in a top-notch facility.
Mr. Marlowe?
A couple of things. I want to ask you a question. The resolution in front of us, 1886, does it not have a funding mechanism in it at this point in time? Okay. So we're debating something right now that's not even part of this resolution, which I really don't understand. Let's let's go ahead and vote whether or not we're gonna build the school or not. Then we can vote on how we're gonna pay for it. Okay, my other question is, and you can help me out over there. Once we determine, if we determine to go ahead with what is before us and start this process without any type of tax increase in any area at all, does that tie our hands in such a way that we cannot determine at a later date how we want to complete paying for this building?
I think the issue would be that your bids expire August the 28th. And so when they expire, then you got to put it back out to bid again. And the conversation we had was that the bids probably would go up because of some issues of tariffs or whatever, and the interest rates may go up. And so that was what they had made us aware of at the bond council.
Okay, but if the bids go out and we have the bonds, that tell us how we have to pay those bonds back?
I think what you're asking, and if it's not right, you can sure tell me. But I think what you're asking me is if you determine to fund this in one way tonight and another way becomes available in a year or two, can you switch over and fund it that way? I don't deal in big money, but I think you can. I don't think people care as long as it gets paid. But that's probably a question for Aaron.
So,
Is
Commissioner
that
Mark?
what you're asking?
Yes, sir.
Because the question that I heard you asking was, what if we do nothing in terms of a tax increase, nothing in terms of shuffling pennies? We just approve the bond resolution without a funding mechanism.
No, that's not what I meant. Okay, just go ahead and shuffle the pennies back a year or two down the road if we want to determine another way of paying this off. That is acceptable.
That is.
Okay.
And I guess to your point, I was thinking, going back to what Commissioner Ash was saying a while ago, that if you approve this bond, and then when the budget time comes, you shuffle the pennies, but if you put the referendum out in November, and the referendum passes in November, then it can fund the bonds, and the pennies will just be reshuffled. Is that right, Mr. Mayor?
Reshuffled for a year.
For a year,
12 months.
yeah.
That's for the next budget, but the pennies could be shuffled.
But they can be shuffled back. Yeah, so that can happen.
Okay, that's the answer I was hoping I'd hear. I thank you very much. Call for the question.
Question been called for, got two in the hopper. Commissioner Bush.
Yes, just two other points. One other concern of mine is the price of the school. The 2,000 student high school, $107 million appears excessive when you compare it to other recently completed high schools. Collierville has a capacity of 3,000 students. The construction cost was $83 million. Rockville has a capacity of 2,000 students, recently completed. Construction cost $66.5 million. Columbia Central, the school that a number of us visited a short while ago, capacity of 2,000 students, construction cost $42 million. So whether they're apples and oranges, which is gonna be the argument that people are gonna raise, the differences are gigantic. And it seems to me that it would be prudent to delay this thing for a month so we can revisit whether or not $107 million is the right price. The argument that the bids are gonna go up after they expire, I don't find credible at all. I'm sure Vicki and Donna can convince this can to hold off for a month while they revisit the numbers, number one. And a point of information, my concern about putting off principal payments into the future is exactly how we created the situation in 2008.
Last one on the call for the question, Commissioner Jones.
I think everybody that's not for those schools have been successful about confusing everybody. So, and I think that was the plan. So I just want to go over real quick. If you want to build a school, vote yes on this. If you want to build a school, vote yes on it. If you don't want to build a school, vote no. But if you want to build a school, vote yes.
We are ready to vote. You are voting on the bonds to build the school, not the funding. If you vote yes to fund the school, then we will handle the funding during the budget on the next resolution. So are we ready to vote? You vote yes to build the school? You vote no? Please cast your vote. He's here, he's back. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. Eighteen yes, 6 no, 1 absent. Resolution passes. Mr. Justice?
18-8-7, a resolution making appropriations for the various funds, departments, institutions, offices, agencies of Wilson County, Tennessee for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2018 and ending June 30, 2019. Make a motion to approve and have an amendment. And if Aaron would read the amendment so it's right.
121 in line 316.2, 82, 330, 316.2. There will be an additional $420,000. So it will go from $1 million to $1,420,000. Second motion.
We have the budget resolution on the floor. It's been amended by Commissioner Justice to move the pennies as Mr. Maynard described. I got a second from Commissioner Marlowe. I got any discussion now from anybody? What's that? You move the pennies in order to fund the school, because you voted to fund the school. Commissioner McFarland. I'm sorry. Other questions? Commissioner Bannock.
The budget, not the tax rate, correct? Thank you.
Any other questions? Are you ready to vote on the budget as amended? Commissioner Vanatta.
Yes, I just want to clarify something.
Yes, ma'am.
To fund the school.
Yes, ma'am.
We come back at the next meeting and decide, and I may have misunderstood our finance director, decide that we want to put a referendum on how to fund it. Are we allowed, can we still do that?
You can still have a referendum on the sales tax.
That's my question. We can still have a referendum on the sales tax?
But not to fund the school. The school's being funded now.
So you are funding the school on this amendment here that's on the floor, if you choose to do so. If you come back, or sometime tonight, say, we would like to put out on a referendum sales tax geared just towards the school, yes, it can go out in November. If it does pass, Mr. Maynard told us a while ago that if it did pass, next year, you could change the pennies back and use that sales tax to pay the rest of these payments, because it would be geared towards the school funding. Does that answer your question?
Okay, so if we vote tonight, if we do a motion tonight
Yes.
to put it on a referendum
Later on,
for the sales tax.
yes.
But we've already voted to do the school, and that fails, then we can we come back and find another source of funding?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
But you won't need to, because if you approve the funding right now, it is funded. So your next, until your next year.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
You can't, once you adopt your tax rate, you can't amend your tax rate.
Yeah.
It's locked in for a year.
Commissioner Ash?
I believe we'll vote to fund the school.
24th, you're right. 24th. 24th.
I want to encourage you to vote for this to fund the school, but there's another way to get some funding without inflicting a lot of pain on taxpayers. It's the people who come through here every day that spend money here. Those are the monies I'm trying to capture. And I want them all to go in the special purpose tax fund, because that way none of y'all can come here and take anything away from the school. It's gotta go in the school buildings program. If we do our resolution just right, and I think someone's gonna bring that resolution. That was my first vote a while ago. I will vote aye on this to get this school built, but we need to look at alternative funding of what we brought up here tonight.
Commissioner McFarland? Budget as amended. Yes, sir. We're fixing to vote on the amendment right now. Yes, sir. Vote on the amendment first. Seeing no other questions on the docket, you're ready to vote on the amendment to the budget. To move the pennies to fund the school. Work on that. You would vote yes if you want to amend the budget, as Mr. Maynard said. Motion made by Mr. Justice and seconded by Mr. Marlowe.
Got some people that need to read their,
We get those after we do the amendment, right? We're ready. You're voting on the amendment to move the pennies to fund the school. You vote yes if you want to do that. You vote no if you don't want to. And we'll do that.
yeah, you just have abstain.
Commissioner Bishop, Commissioner McFarland. Commissioner Bishop? Ma'am? Later on.
You will.
That will come up tonight sometime. Commissioner Bishop? Okay. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. Amendment passes. Now we're ready to vote on the resolution. That's the budget. I'll have three of you that need to make a statement now that work for the county in some capacity before we vote. Mr. Keith, you want to go first?
I publicly acknowledge the following. Because I'm an employee of the Wilson County Sheriff's Department, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and the citizens of this body represents.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do I have another one? Mr. Marlowe.
Pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated, I do hereby publicly state the following, because I am an employee with the Wilson County School System. I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted on. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and the citizens this body represents.
I think I have one more. Mr. Scruggs.
So TCA 55-102 TCA 12-41011. I do hereby public knowledge following because I am an employee of Wilson County Emergency Management, so I have conflict of interest in purposely above the vote. However, I declare that my vote answers my consistence and my ability, my citizens, this body. Terry Scruggs.
Commissioner Bannock? Nope. Got you. All right, are we ready to vote?
We hadn't had any discussion on the thing after it was amended, right?
Amendment passed, we're ready to vote on the budget itself now, as amended.
We hadn't had any discussion on the main motion. We just had discussion on the amendment.
Correct.
Why would you ask that?
Yeah.
Well, because I've got another amendment. Been a lot of talk over the last several months and during the elections about our teachers and how good our teachers do, and they need to be compensated for it. You know, some folks think it needs to be 12%, some think it needs to be 6%. I wish we could give them all that we could because they do a good job. So I'd like to amend the budget to take $1.5 million out of the fund balance, give to the teachers for raises, be a 2% raise. That's what my amendment is.
Got a motion and a second, and 1.5 million out of the fund balance, that's a one-time bonus?
Ain't no bonus.
It's not reoccurring fund, so how would we do that? It's not
Take
reoccurring.
it out of the general fund, excuse me.
That would take about 7 cents out of the general fund. Do that. Actually, forgive me. Let me do it one more time. I'm gonna trust myself on one run. $3.69, right? 3.69 cents.
3.69.
That
So
will
what I'm-
also run your general fund into the red.
Yeah, take 17 votes. It won't run it in the red, it will run it below.
Operationally, this year and going forward,
Every year.
you will be in the red without something to make up the revenue.
So I got a motion and a second to take
On an amendment.
on amendment, yeah,
We got to vote on amendment.
yeah, that's what we're voting on.
I believe the number that was thrown out was $1.5 million.
Right, a 2% raise, million and a half, but, Mike, help me out, where does the money come from?
Well, the only place, he said from the general fund, so that would mean that we would have to take pennies away from the general fund and put them in the general purpose school fund. That would be the only way for that to happen that I know of.
But those pennies are already spoken for,
They are spoken for, yes.
so there is no availability unless I raise taxes.
You know, there's nothing legally, as long as you have fund balance, okay? And I'm gonna answer your question from a legal standpoint, and then I'll answer it from the other standpoint.
Please.
From a legal standpoint, your budget is still balanced as long as you have fund balance available to cover the expenditures, okay?
If it make it easier on everybody, we just take it from the fund balance.
But again, that's from a legal standpoint. From a practical standpoint, Mayor, you're absolutely correct. In the course of very few years, if you spend $1.5 million in the red, your fund balance will be depleted and you will have to either raise taxes. And I wouldn't recommend depleting the fund balance that way personally.
Correct. So we need, for the amendment, you really need a reoccurring revenue source. Do we have that? You want to send it like it is, where it runs us out at a point? Yeah.
Close to 10 million right now.
And that fund balance is gonna be about the same if we don't spend any money out of it next year, right?
Your fund balance, it should be, however, you gave up, we put back into this year about 1.6 million was added to the fund balance. Now, you've given $1 million of that towards the construction of the new school.
Yeah.
So, so you're looking at, in all likelihood, only going to the good about $500,000 next year as opposed to the $1.5 million you were to the good this year.
How much growth did the general fund receive this year?
I believe it was 1.7, hold on, I got it.
It was? Yes, sir.
1.7.
So that's 1.7 we had, that we'll have from now on.
Not if you take the million away.
It's in there from now on, 1.7.
Yeah.
So if you take 1.5 out of it,
Jeff, in you recorded expenditures are very close to that 1.7 million to offset the revenue. Ongoing expenditures, recurring expenditures that will eat that revenue. I mean, that revenue has already been spoken for.
Other discussion, we got a motion and a second. Commissioner Justice?
Yeah, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here, but this is creative financing. I hate to agree with Frank sometimes, but this is absolutely, this was not discussed. This has not been, I mean, we talked about this early on, and not against my school board friends and the director back there, but tell me again what the school's growth this year we gave them was?
The school's growth, actually what they got minus the special school district's portion was 1.97 million.
So we didn't tell them we didn't tell you what to do with it, but we gave them the growth. Just don't kill the school here, brother.
We've got several, we've got teachers in this county that do an outstanding job. The big thing during the election was that we need to get more people. So that's what I'm trying to do. If we can't, I'm going to go for it, so everybody else.
Commissioner Frank, I'm sorry.
I think the argument is everybody does. The general fund employees do as well. And of course, I get it, but that's only if the growth is high enough. And we match the growth, but they get their raise and part of it goes to their insurance. But we gave the school board its growth money. They could have done that with that growth money. So if we're gonna make adjustments, not increase, I don't think this is a raise. This is more like they talk about adjustments. And if we're gonna adjust people, I think fire, police, WEMA, that's something for these guys to tackle.
Commissioner Franklin?
For answered, thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we are ready to vote on the amendment to do a 1.5 million, which is a 2% raise. The funds would come from the fund balance until it was exhausted. So, yeah, it is the truth. So it will take 17, and are we ready to vote? All hearts and minds good? Please record. Amendment fails. We're ready to vote on the regular budget resolution as amended. Are you ready to vote?
This is the appropriations resolution.
This is the appropriation resolution that has been amended to fund the school. We've all had our pieces read, so we are ready to vote. Vote yes if you want to pass your budget. Vote no if you choose not to. Mr. Patton? All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. Budget passes, 22 yes, 1 no, 1 absent. 1 abstaining, not bad. Now, Mike, are you doing bond resolutions for people?
You still got your tax resolution.
My bad, go ahead.
And do we need to move the tax rate resolution needs to be adjusted?
We do, sir. If you give me just 1 minute, I thought I had it, but I realized something just here at the last second.
Still in session, Mr. Maynard, you're still working. Commissioner Rich, you have a
I was gonna do this under new business, but I think this is the appropriate time to go ahead and do it. It's been talked about tonight, several things. I'm gonna make a motion that we add 1/2 cent to the sales tax.
All right, hold on just a minute.
Okay,
Suspend your rules, because your rules say that anything like this, the resolutions have to be in writing.
I'm gonna make a motion, we
Suspend the rules, you can do that, you can do these bond resolutions, you can do the other thing, and then we'll come back and do the tax rate if you want to.
I'm gonna make a motion, we suspend the rules.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
That'll do it.
Okay, now, I'm gonna make a motion that we raise the sale tax a half a cent. That will send it up to the maximum of 9.75. To be sent to the referendum in November, to be voted on by the people. And the money, if it does pass, the money goes to the special purpose tax fund for future funding of schools, jails, whatever.
Second. Got a motion and multiple seconds. Discussion. Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Can I do that by voice vote, or I gotta do it on a roll?
I do that on the roll, but now, make sure you understand, you're not raising the tax rate, you're sending it to referendum.
Referendum.
Yeah.
We're voting to put it on a referendum, and that tax half cent is a nickel on $10. Commissioner Marlowe.
Okay, Commissioner Ash, you made a statement a while ago that you were gonna make a motion similar to this that would go towards schools only. Now we're talking about schools, jails, and whatever. The whatever really bothers me. Yes, sir.
I think if you send it to the special purpose, this money can only be spent on schools. That's right, Mr. Marlowe. And that's where I am right now. I think the public maybe sometimes a heck of a lot smarter than we are. And, this is also a chance, if we can fund it this way, we can come back, go back to what Jeff wants to do, take some of that money we're gonna take in the general fund and give it to teachers and other employees for pay raises if we want to. But I'll come back next month, and I promise you, if I'm still here, I'm gonna ask to move that threshold down to $6 million, where issues like what Jeff brought up can't be just derailed by a small handful. I think we got too high up there on the hog of that $8 million mark. So this resolution, I guess, any special purpose school fund tax will only go to the bill school.
I take that as a call.
So I think just for clarification, Commissioner Rich, where you're talking about going, and Commissioner Ash and Commissioner Marlowe kind of cleared it up, if it goes to that fund, that's the only place it can be used for, and that's school structure. So when you said jails and stuff, we have to probably take that out. You accept that? Take it out, okay. That's where it's gonna go. Yes.
Just for point of clarification, Mr. Mayor.
Sir, yes, sir, sorry.
There may be some funds in another fund to deal with the issues at the jail. Is that correct? Possible.
Funds in another fund to deal with issues at the jail. Capital projects possibly, Sheriff, I would have to look a little bit closer.
But I'll tell you one thing, guys, I was there, you're gonna have to build this jail. This ain't like a school situation, you're on the cover of the tree, you can ask the county attorney about this. Every one of you in this room is putting your knees under a federal decree, the mayor, everybody here is under a federal decree on that jail, and this sheriff stands up here and says, you gotta build a jail. Make no misunderstanding, that was cleared through federal court in 2008, 9.
Yeah, Terry, I'm not sure we're technically still under that decree, but we'd go back under it if we violated that.
Absolutely, violating would be not adding the funds to the show. But talking to you today, there are funds possibly we could tap into based on the needs.
Well, I think, Commissioner Ash, the conversation that we had earlier today is somewhat replaced by what actually happened here.
I realize that, that's why I wanted to do that. But if this resolution passes to the public, we can come back and.
That is correct.
Shift some monies around.
That is correct.
I got more faith in the public, because they don't want us to even looking at their taxes, their property taxes. And I get some indication they don't want us to do the impact fee, but I think the impact fee is the next place I'll go. But let's just give the public a chance here, and if it does pass, it will free up the funds, is that correct?
That is correct.
So the motion on the floor, is to put the sales tax out for a referendum in November. I got a motion, a proper second. I don't see any other discussion. We are ready to vote. Vote yes if you want to put it out for a referendum in November. Please cast your vote.
Hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. Resolution passes to put the sales tax out for referendum. Now we're ready to move forward with,
Motion to go back and
No, no, no.
We got a
Hold,
bunch-
hold.
we got a bunch
Let's,
more.
you've got 5 other bond resolutions there, and what I'm talking about, don't anybody get panicked, it's not spending. This is your elected officials who have to have their bonds approved. I've got here a resolution for Commissioner Scruggs as a road commissioner, for Sheriff Robert Bryan, for the County Mayor Randall Hutto, for the newly elected Register of Deeds Jackie Murphy, and for the County Clerk Debbie Moss, and, I'm sorry, there's 6 of them, and Jim Goodall, County Clerk. I would recommend to you, if it's all right, Mayor, that you make a motion to combine all them and then vote on them, because you got to approve.
I got a question. Don't I need bond on that also? Because I was reappointed as road commissioner last month, July. I think I also need bond.
Yeah, you need to get it and bring it back next month. Yeah, get it to me.
I do hear a motion to put all these bonds together. Second. I'll need to do a
Voice vote, be fine.
voice vote's okay for this, even though it's got money? All in favor say aye. Opposed?
All right, you got one other there that I left out of the packet, so if y'all want to have one more streaming match, you can get after me tonight. It's the one about, making the, county, domain available on,
Broadband?
emails and, Microsoft Access, I think it says. And it's supposed to have gone into the packet and I forgot it, so that one's on me.
Motion approved.
Any discussion? Being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion
Now you
to
can go
accept.
back into session.
Hear a motion to go back into session.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Now you ready for the
Now we're ready to
tax?
vote?
All right, your total tax rate is still the same, 2.5189. Your general fund tax rate has changed from 0.879 to 0.8544. And your general purpose schools have changed to 1.1991.
All others are the same?
The rest, no. Actually, that's right.
Second.
Jesus. I think you may be right, on that one. Because I was supposed to take 2, I'm sorry, you're right, I was supposed to take 2. Give me 1 second, John's right. Yes.
You make a note.
We'll make a note. Mr. John was right, Mike said. How's everybody in Dale Well?
Make sure you tell them why too they is right.
Yes.
When we finish this, I would like to swear in under new business all returning commissioners. If you want me to, we'll do it all at the same time. Those of you that want to have somebody else do that, you're welcome to. They are, your oaths are on your desk, so I can do that under new business. And then I will get the new commissioners during orientation. Also, the pictures are on your desk from outside for outgoing commissioners. And your nameplates are free for you to take as well. Aaron, are we good to go, or am I still
We're
waiting?
almost good to go. We're almost good to go, sir. I'm sorry, I thought I had it worked out earlier. Everything was crazy.
You got a motion on the floor, let's get this done. This is important here, we ain't gonna do nothing unless we pass this tax bill.
Take the whole desk plaque, not just the name on the front. Take the whole thing. Sarah said Jeff was trying to tear off the tag. Replace it all anyway. As long as you show up for the minutes, Mr. Bannick. Hope so.
Do what?
Probably about 11, yeah. We didn't realize there was a fair going on. We kept on going and going and going.
Okay, got it, fine. General debt service will be .2929. General purpose school will be 1.1622. And general fund will be .8544. I will, yes, ma'am.
Has been set. We are ready to vote on the budget. Tax rate as amended. You are ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Joins? Vote please. All hearts and minds good? Please record. 24 yes, 0, resolution passes. Any old business to come before the body before we swear you in? Okay. Can I ask my returning commissioners that would like to be sworn in to please stand? Okay, we have one for you. Blank was back there. You would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I'm going to say I, and then you say your name. I do solemnly swear I will perform with fidelity duties of the office which I have been elected, which I'm about to assume. I do solemnly swear to support the constitutions of Tennessee and the United States, and to faithfully perform the duties of the office of the County Commissioner. I want to say representing, you put your district in there, representing the district of Wilson County, Tennessee. So help me God. You'll sign that and leave it on your desk. Sarah will get it and get it recorded by the clerk. If you did not do that tonight, you're welcome to do it on your own, at your own time. Any other new business to come before this body? Need one more motion for this session. All in favor say aye. We are adjourned.